myself. I'm Sharice Sistro. My classroom is right next door. I'm Toddler Lead Teacher and Summer Camp Director. I'm going to hand it over to some of my colleagues.
I'm Olivia. I do the Montessori and Me play groups that are right through that bathroom. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else.
I'm Naima. I am a toddler ADM teacher and I'm on the second floor.
I am Desiree. I'm the older toddler teacher, and this is my classroom.
I'm Dominique Wells-Motes, or Dom, if you probably hear your child say. I am the Buckeye Toddler ADM classroom, so right above.
Somewhere
I'm talking. Next door to Miss Naima.
Okay, so it's all about vegetables tonight. So I'm going to start by doing like a little circle time, and I am going to ask a brave soul to sit next to me. I'll give you a lesson on our vegetable pot. Okay, I'm going to grab a rug. I'm 18 months old. I'm going to show you something. I'm Sharice, by the way. What's your name?
I'm Eric.
Eric. Everybody, here's Eric. So, this is our vegetable pot. We have carrot. Celery. Corn. Potato. Pepper. This sometimes gets confused with apple. All right, so
Everything somewhat round is an apple.
yes, that's true, and it's red, so I get it. So that is what we call, it's like the first period of the 3-period lesson. We introduce what the object is. Now for a moment, I'm just going to take 2 away. And we'll look at just 3. Now the second period, I'm going to ask Eric. Eric, where is the potato? Which one is a potato? Okay. How about, which one is the corn? Okay. Now, where's the celery? That's good. Okay. So, Eric thought the celery was a potato, so that means I have to go back to that first period. Let's try that again. Celery. Corn. Potato. All right, now we're going to pretend that Eric knows all of this now. So now this is the 3rd period where I ask him to tell me what is what. Okay, let's see. Eric, what is this?
Corn.
What is this, Eric?
Potato.
What do I have here?
Celery.
Celery. Okay. So Eric, over time, has mastered this work. Now, this is something you might see in the classroom early in the year. Some everyday objects, certainly like a fruit basket or a vegetable basket. Now, a little bit later on, when this is all mastered and the novelty has worn off, we bring it out and use it for a different purpose. So. So, there's a little jingle that we sing in our classroom. It's just called Vegetable Stew. And this is literally the recipe for the soup that you're going to eat tonight. So, it goes like this. Clap with me now. Here we go. All right. Okay. Vegetable stew, vegetable stew, corn and carrots and celery. Ooh, vegetable stew, peppers and potatoes too. Yum. Now, they usually ask us to do it a second time, but that there is how we sort of introduce vegetables and how it kind of evolves into something a little bit different in the language area. So now we're going to see how we can really get our hands on these in some practical life experiences. So we're going to start with Naima.
So first up, we will scrub the potatoes. These are our scrub brushes, and they do hold water in them, but as you can see, the water's coming out. But it's fine, because you just take the water from the tray, and you can scrub your potato to clean it. So, you can pick, everyone can pick up the scrub brushes. So today we actually scrubbed the potatoes to make your soup that you'll be eating tonight. And when toddlers do it, of course they can see that the dirt is coming off, although we did it in the sink and then we came and did it on the trays. But just to see how they can scrub it and clean and done. And usually that's how it goes too. But yep, you can see how it's done. And same goes with our other practical life work when they scrub the tables and stuff too. Step 2.
So children love real tools. They love using real tools at home. And this is something we encourage parents to do, and it's something we, also do at school. You have to teach the children how to use it. If you teach them exactly how to use a tool, they will, be successful with it. If you see that they're doing silly business with it, as we like to say, then you go back and say, this is how you use it. But you have to demonstrate to them how you use it. So we're going to do, the carrots has already been scrubbed. So now I'm going to demonstrate how we peel the carrot. And well, I have 2 peelers. And these are some different types of peelers that you might have some at home. I like these chunky ones because they can really get their hands around it, because with the toddlers, it's really hard for them to do like this. This is like a tighter fit hold than this one. So this one is more appropriate for them to use. You two peel. One for you, and come forward. I'll show them how to hold it here. So how this would be presented on the tray. This bowl would be on the shelf. The children would go over, take a carrot. So there's a lot of movement also in this work. Here, peel the carrot, hold it here. That's it, just one direction. Sometimes they might want to do that, and you go over and give them another lesson, because you have to show them the safe way to use the tool. Peel and turn, and sometimes they really, really, really love doing this work. So what they might do is keep peeling. And you know what, and that's fine. What you can do with that also, you can take these little pieces and make a salad. Put a little lemon juice, a little salt, a little, maybe, my family's put raisins in there. And just, so you can, they can do this, they can peel the carrot for the purpose of what we're doing it for, or you can just give them this, I say, let's make a salad. You can put it on anything. When they're all done peeling, let's assume it's just to peel it here. They put that in there. this over to the trash can. Back to the table and put the work back on the shelf. So we're completed. They put the carrot in another bowl that would be here. Getting ready for chopping.
All right, it's time to get to work. Harleen, you have to come sit. Okay. All right, so as you were there with Desiree and Naima, we had different stations that, multiple potatoes, multiple carrots. But this morning I actually did it with a group. It was a group lesson. And we had this tray. They were so excited. We're gonna cut. Everyone was walking around with celery stalks. I was like, okay, we gotta relax. So for the celery, and it's a lot that you're, teaching them as well. So it's just like, we could just give them this part, but it's also, toddlers, they're learning how to wait. It's a very hard lesson. But it's like, I'm gonna cut off the ends first, and it's gonna be your turn. And it's me showing them with 2 hands at the top. Because, sometimes toddlers get really excited. It's like, oh, be safe. It's just sharp. 2 hands. And let them know Miss Dom is cutting off the ends. And sometimes, oh, it's not going. I'm like, God, really go for it, friend. And they, okay. And so I gave them the stalk this morning. And they were just going for it. They were cheering each other on. They were just like, whoa, you're really cutting it there. And I was like, yes, you are. So 2 hands. And they were able to see the result and put it in the bowl. So, would you like the trash? Here you go, Carly.
Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Well, I mean, you want me to cut something else?
So then, because they're making us work at this station.
Okay.
So, so after this, our bowl was filled with celery. We washed it off and we were able to we put all the celery in a Ziploc bag and then we came downstairs and delivered it to Miss Cherie. So that was a whole experience. They got to get back on the elevator. It was like, this is fun. I was like, cool. How much time did that take? They had a great time. It was also that bonding moment that we had together. They learned, we counted out how many stalks of celery we had. And now it's time to cut the carrot that Desiree peeled so nicely. It's on the side. So we either have the option of, depending on where your toddler's hands are in the moment, the crinkle cutter, we can use this big one here. We're legit, we're taking it up a notch. So that's still showing them, I'm actually gonna turn it this way so it's easier. And depending on if your child is right-handed or left-handed, it's holding the carrot and chop. 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 Put it in the bowl. And also for adults, carrots are hard. So I don't want I'm like, you're doing great. Thank you. And the last thing, see, I told you they're working us. The last thing that we have is a bell pepper. And I actually got a lesson from Miss Desiree how to cut the bell pepper. She said, you're not doing it right. I was like, what are we doing? But beforehand, so things can run smoothly, if you already know you're doing this project with your child, you can already have things either rinsed out, or if you just really just want to have them experience the whole thing, I was cheating. But so they're able to see all the seeds, like, wow, this was inside the pepper. And they can feel it. But I'll let them know. Oh, or Miss Dom or Mom is going to cut peppers first. And I can show them a knife and let them know, oh, Mommy's being so careful, this is sharp. I can cut it down. And once it's cut down, then we have these 3 big pieces. So from there, we can get the crinkle cutter again. Or what would you call this? A wavy cutter? Wavy with a handle. We're fancy with it. I know. A crinkle cutter with a handle. We can chop. Ooh, you gotta work for it, Carlene. Or once after that part is then using the crinkle cutter to it. So again, it's also know your child, see what they're able to handle, but then also breaking it down to it's just like, okay, let me actually make this easier for them, because we also, you have this big old plan to, we're gonna do this vegetable soup, and then they're just like, I don't want, this is hard, like, so we wanna make sure they're able to handle it so they don't get too frustrated as well, so it's okay, I'm not even gonna punch you. But yeah, we have cut some things. We're gonna actually hand this off to Miss Olivia. Miss Olivia, I'm not sure how much soup you can make with this. Here you go.
Soup for one. And then the last thing, after they cut, we use the colanders to rinse them in the sink. So we'll take our matching red.
Oh, also you do the same with the potato too.
Oh.
We're gonna cut the potatoes on.
So we'll go over to the sink. And again, I mean, I guess this just depends on, what your child is able to do and how they can get to a sink in your home. Some people have the learning towers, which are great. But they pour the veggies in. And then just a little rinse. All the veggies get wet. Y'all didn't give me much to work with here. And then we'll pour them in and they're ready to go. The water, I feel like, is the favorite part for toddlers, so we're not going in the pool, we're just rinsing the veggies.
The song was a recipe, but we're going to share with you today a little packet, and in it has the basic recipe that we use, but it also lots of suggestions of what you can do to add into the soup. It's a kind of a good opportunity for, thank you. It's kind of a really good opportunity for your children to eat vegetables. I know it's not always easy, but we find that in the classroom, when we're making anything, really, if they're making it and they're a part of it, they at least want to taste it, and sometimes they really get into it. But yes, this is just a recipe, how to prepare it, some ideas for tools, and if you don't have these tools, there's different things that your child can certainly do to help, and different variations. You might want to add like some tomato paste to it, or some tomatoes, some beans to make it a little bit heartier, and maybe even some pasta. So this is part of what we're sharing in our packet today. Yep. And then we also have a curriculum summary of sort of how this relates to what we did today.
Do you want to go through?
Oh, you should do that.
So in here you'll find kind of a slightly adapted version of what we have on the website of what the Montessori toddler curriculum is. So a brief description of each area, practical life, sensorial, language, music and art, math, geography, science, and movement. And so what you'll see when you're reading through this, and we can talk about some of it, if you guys want, there's different items that are in bold on here, and this just illustrates, now these are all of the things that are incorporated in a process like this. And so it really kind of stands out the fact that, yes, there's chopping involved, that's a skill, that's fine motor, but we're really dabbling in every area of the curriculum. There's culture brought in, we're talking about food, there's language, there's sensorial, there's textures and smells and tastes. Any category we can find. Geography, well, that's culture. Science, there's fluid dynamics. When they're pouring water, they're learning all sorts of things. Plants, vegetables, they're literally have their hands in plants. And like Dom pointed out, the seeds, all sorts of opportunities for discovery and conversation. the language piece as well, aside from the naming, just learning vocabulary and whatnot, there's complex instructions, there's listening to a multi-step process and carrying it out. So as a teacher, you're learning so much about where the child is in their development as well as you're offering those little pieces, just like we do with every single thing in the classroom. It really is not just one thing. It's not just making soup to eat lunch. It's so much more. And that movement point, obviously the fine motor, but just moving in general, carrying heavy trays, managing that whole process. All of these things are very intentional and easily overlooked, but they're the things that we really focus on.
I would add, because I work with older toddlers, I have to sort of develop ways of extending these lessons to suit the needs of the child developmentally, because they're able to like concentrate more, focus and concentrate a little longer than maybe an 18-month-old. So these work put together could be one work for a child in my class, like especially the potato cutting, because we do this work. We usually cut it and make French fries, put it in the oven, bake it. So how we would do that work, let's say we'll put this potato in a tray like this. Then we'll have them, let's see, grab a picture somewhere quickly. I don't know where one is. Let me grab a picture right here. Right here. So instead of having the water in a brush like that, I would probably use a different brush, and I would have this picture on the tray. So what the child would will do is, and they have to get a paper, so it's a lot of movement again in this work. So we'll come over, fill it up, and then the development, their coordination, because they have to like literally walk with this picture without spilling. So you would see them doing like this. They come and then they hold a chair, pour the water, then brush. And I would have another bowl here, so that they would put the already washed potato in there, and they would have to take this down in the sink. And then I would eventually add, they will take that potato later on and then cut it, peel it, and then cut it. So that's like one lesson, sort of kind of like 3 lessons kind of wrapped up into one for the older toddlers. And so it can even work for primary children. I think some of the primary teachers have this in their classroom where they're able to like do all 3 together. It takes a long time, and it's really fine-tuning those fine motor skills and even gross motor skills with the toddlers, with the primary children and toddlers. So who's gonna go make soup?
It's really delicious. We
Yeah,
had
it smells
some
good.
together at the table. It's really good.
And the children actually did all of the cutting. So you might have some carrots and potatoes, different shapes and sizes. But yes, they really take pride in setting up things for the classroom and, things like this. So,
Yes. We used to think like just our community in general. Like my kids knew they weren't gonna be here tonight, but I was just like, all of my teacher friends were gonna come together and we're gonna teach your grown-ups how to make soup. And they was like, I love soup. I was like, yeah, remember the celery from this morning? They're like, yeah. I was like, so we're gonna teach your grown-ups how to make soup. They was like, oh, that sounds so much fun. So it was just like, they were excited about that, but then also excited to come down and, see Miss Sharice, to have that interaction. They're just like, oh, I remember seeing that front at recess. I'm like, yeah. We had that exchange and we come back upstairs and everyone's marching through with celery. So it was a really fun time. I even took one of Miss Naima's kids and she joined us and we're like, she's like, I'm walking with Miss Dom. I was like, you are. So it was like, it's a nice like community thing. So it's, they feel very proud and taking ownership. Like, yeah, if you go home tonight and your child's just like, you make soup, No, thank you for cutting that celery. Thank you for cutting them peppers.
One of the things of Montessori that I love so much is that, and I said this recently to someone, is that it's such a natural, it's like a way of life, and it comes so naturally. Like, they don't even think they're learning. If they're in the kitchen with their parents, they're bonding. They just know that they're there with the parents. They don't realize they're, strengthening fine motor skills, gross motor skills. They're learning. They don't understand that they don't get that I'm learning. Because it comes so naturally. And that's the one thing I really, really love about Montessori. Learning comes, it's like second nature, So that's kind of like especially practical life area of the classroom. I think that's why the children like it so much, is because it identify with some of the things that they do at home with their family already. So when they come into the program, especially in September, all the children are in this area of the classroom because they have a mop at home, they have a broom, even if it's a pretend broom that they have, or a pretend vacuum. They learn about taking care of their environment. So, just highlighting this soup making is just a little part of what you can do at home with your children to, support their learning and development without, I'm going to teach you math, they're learning math skills, and they're learning without even, with no pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're already doing it. You guys are doing great.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes I'm like, what kind of trick did you do? What magic did you do? I'm like, you did this. Like, sometimes, what can I work on at home? You're already doing it. So give yourself credit. You're great parents, and we're just building that upon that. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I have a question. When
No.
I guess for anybody, but when they're preparing and helping, if they decide they're ready to eat and they don't want to help anymore, they just want to eat whatever they're making, what do you do then?
Like either raw vegetables?
Well, I guess it could be anything, right? It may be something else that they're helping prepare, but
Like my perspective, if it's safe to eat, I would allow them. It's a sensory part of the development also. It's carrots, they can eat raw carrot. I had children, Henry,
I'm sorry.
I gave him the carrot peeling work, and he was doing well, and then he started chopping it up, and all of a sudden, he was eating it, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess we're not making soup today, but,
Carrots in the soup.
But it's great, he probably, they would probably not eat carrots otherwise, but he's involved in doing it. So if they want to try it, have them, as long as it's safe for them to digest uncooked, it's fine.
One good thing about this is when it's all done and you're like sitting down and enjoying it together, it's like a very sensory driven experience, but there's a lot of language that happens too. You might hear a lot of adjectives suddenly, like this is hot, or this is cold, or spicy, or with anything they eat, like something that's sour, or something that's sweet. And it sort of ties into their language skills because it like builds up their sentence structure. Just a simple experience like this. So it's very interesting to see.
And one thing I like about toddler environment too, because we do projects like this, the children become really close, and the teachers. So we're like building relationships like that. So if you make a soup like this and you're having it at a dinner table, it's a conversation piece, and you're building stronger relationships, even with other siblings. They might have older, younger siblings who could participate in this activity also. And you can talk about, well, who scrubbed the potato, who peeled the carrots, who chopped this, so it's great conversation, and that's how children learn language and literacy. They learn by hearing their parents and people around them speak in any language. That's the first stage of developing literacy skills. So having just natural conversation, and this is a big part of it.
I've been thinking of the afterpiece. My dad always told me when you're cooking, you clean up along the way. Even after, we smelled the celery, we washed it, we cut it, put it in a bowl, we put it in the bag. After all that, okay,
Yes.
it's time to clean up. 1, 2, can you take this to the trash? Oh, sure. You know, everything is cleaned up, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna clean up my tray now. I take my tray. Okay, take off your aprons. Now it's time to wash our hands. We have washed our hands. Oh, now it's time to clean the table. So then, you know, if it's a whole group thing, of course, we don't have a whole bunch of table scrubbing activities, but give them a baby wipe and they go into town. So it's like just bringing that whole thing. So that just even alone takes up just about your whole work cycle. So that part is always good too. Then they still just even feel good about them. So they're just like, I helped to clean this, and then the wipes end up somewhere else. But it's just like that whole process. They're so proud. And it's like after the whole project, they have like this new walk to them. They're just like, yeah, I did that.
And that should sort of remind me about the baby wipes thing, because parents are probably saying, well, why baby wipes? So we use like chemicals to clean the table that children can't touch, or the wipes, the Clorox wipes, they can't touch it. So if we want them to clean the tables, we give them baby wipes. So parents like, oh baby, they need wipes again? So this is where the wipes go. So we use wipes to clean their faces after lunch. It's not just for toileting. So they use it, if we want a wall clean, like, how about you use this wipe? Let's clean that. You know, sometimes we give them to clean the doorknobs and, you know, help take care of the environment too. So just so you know, the wipes have
Multi-purpose.
It's multi-purpose, yes.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
it's time to dig in.
Yeah,
Your
so
homes.
So you have two options. You can take a soup and try it and let us know what you think, or you can take it home with you. It's your choice. I have more.
And there's one more paper in the folder, and that's just some images from a website that called Montessori Services, which you guys might be familiar with, but just kind of a snapshot of kitchen tools that they have on there. And both as a parent and a teacher, it's a wonderful. I'm sure there's other resources. I'm not plugging this for any particular reason, but if you want, you know, if you want to find things for your home, this is a great place to start.
Thank you.
Have a banana, Hannah. Try the salami, Tommy. Get with the gravy, gravy. Everybody eats when they come to my house. Try a tomato, Plato. Here's cacciatore, Dory. The bologna, Tony. Everybody eats when they come to my house. I fixed your